Alright, so the story for the Lone Ranger follows John Reed, played by Armie Hammer, who later becomes the Lone Ranger, but in the beginning he's just a typical lawyer going back to his hometown. He believes in the law, he believes in justice and all that crap, and he's going back to his hometown, like I said, to visit his brother Dan Reed, who is in fact a ranger. He is an actual ranger. He's not a Lone Ranger because there's other ones, but he is a ranger and he's a badass, and he's actually about to go after a dude named Butch Cavendish, who is a really bad dude played by William Fichtner, and he goes and eats people, kills Indians. He has a hair lip. He's evil. Come on. And he has to go after him, and of course he brings John Reed into it. He says, hey, here's a badge. You are now a ranger. Come with us and we're going to go after this dude and we're going to go take him out because he's evil. He's evil. So they go after him, and of course they get ambushed. Everybody gets killed. Everybody. But John Reed does come back because of the spirit horse, and luckily Tonto is there, played by Johnny Depp, and he dusts him off, he helps him out, he makes a silver bullet for him so he can use this for the guy that killed his brother and get revenge. He says, hey, Kimosabi, I'm gonna help you because I'm Indian and that's what we do. I'm Johnny Depp, I'm the real star of this, get out of the way, and I'm gonna go and help you defeat this guy and bring justice to both of us because I have a little bit of personal business with this dude as well. So me, you, and this freaking horse over here, we're gonna go and stop this dude. So that's pretty much the story. They go after them, and of course the Lone Ranger, he slowly builds into the legend that everybody talks about. Ooh, he's the Lone Ranger. Oh, but at first he's a bumbling idiot that's a lawyer that believes in the law. But he has to build into that character. That's the story. The story is supposed to be fun and silly with the occasional moments of it being dark, like a character that eats people's hearts. You don't see it, but it's implied. And there's a scene later on in the film where a lot of people die, and let me just say, they're not white. So yeah, so there's occasional moments where it gets dark, but for the most part it's just Johnny Depp and Armie Hammer mugging in front of the camera, Johnny Depp making weird faces, and then of course Armie Hammer tripping over stuff because, oh, I'm a bumbling lawyer, I don't know how to walk. And you know, it's just a little too silly, and there is a lot of funny moments, I will say this, especially with Johnny Depp, even though I'm getting a little tired of him just looking at the camera, making a face, like smiling or something. Oh, look, Tonto's serious for the, like, 5 minutes, and then he just smiles and you're supposed to laugh. Now, I'm getting a little tired of that. Here, there is times where he actually does say something that is actually pretty damn funny. I mean, he's so serious the way he says things, but then it's a joke and it's funny. I don't know. I don't even know how to explain it. It's funny. Armie Hammer is good in the role too. It's just, you know, again, he's a little bit too bumbling at first. I mean, later on, he definitely somewhat embodies the role of the Lone Ranger, but in the beginning, he's just like, oh, I'm dropping the gun. Oh, I'm falling over the places. What are we going to do now? Hey, I'll take care of this. Oh, I screwed it up. I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ. And it's a little bit too much like that. Sorry, friggin' Cars, but it's a little bit too much like that, but he does a decent job nonetheless. And of course, Johnny Depp is great. I mean, I love Johnny Depp, even though he's not Native American. It might be a little offensive for some people. Me, I still liked him in the role, and he definitely has most of the laughs in this film. Now, the rest of the supporting cast does a good job as well. You have Tom Wilkinson in the film, who you can kind of predict what his character is going to end up being later on in the film just by the actor himself. You look at him and you're like, okay, I know who you're going to be. There's no twist here. I mean, it's supposed to be a twist, but you already see it coming. This movie's predictable. Let's just admit it right here. I say that a lot, but it's extremely predictable and at a fault sometimes, but I'll talk about that in a second. So yeah, you know where he's going to go, but he's okay in the role for the most part. William Fichtner, who plays, I guess, the main villain, Butch Cavendish, who I think is great here. I think he is actually really sinister, very evil looking. He plays it up really well, really nicely. I really like him as an actor. So William Fichtner, I'm just always happy to see him in a somewhat leading role. And he's pretty close. He's like the fourth one down on the cast list. So good. I like that guy. You also have Ruth Wilson, who plays Dan Reed's wife, who later becomes John Reed's love interest, which, no spoilers there. You see it in the trailer. Sorry. If the trailer's gonna spoil it, I'm gonna spoil it. Sorry. And you also have Helena Bonham Carter, who plays I guess the boss, I don't know, I get the boss of a brothel, I'm not really sure, but she's there, she has a couple scenes, she shoots things with her fake leg, who cares. She's good in the role. For the most part, the supporting cast is good here, not great, and the lead roles, while, you know, Johnny Depp is doing the same thing he always does, you know, making faces, and Armie Hammer's just there to tag along, with the occasional moments where he actually does become a badass. I didn't mention this in the story because I kind of wanted to talk about this in the action and special effects, but this movie is 2.5 hours long. It's supposed to be fun and silly, and the two leads are supposed to be charismatic. There's supposed to be all this action and special effects. It's supposed to be just energetic and not boring all the way through to 2.5 hours. And they should have cut 45 minutes off, because this movie can get super boring. And like I said, it's predictable. It is predictable to a fault. Like I said, like there's times where I was like, okay, it's predictable. All right, here's some action. Oh, that's exactly how I knew it was going to play out. Or, oh, that's exactly how it played out in the trailer. So, you know, I'm just watching it over again, and there's no real big new scenes. It's just straight up the action scene from the trailer. I'm like, oh, okay. So I'm just seeing stuff I've already seen, or stuff I already know is gonna happen, or I'm just watching characters talk about stuff I don't care about. So while the action is good in this film, there is a whole 15-minute sequence at the end on a train. Of course, there has to be a train shootout, which is actually pretty cool. I mean, there's some really cool shootouts, and, you know, people jumping from stuff. I mean, it's over the top. It's dumb. If you even tried to think about this in the real world, it would never work. But it's fun. The special effects are pretty damn good. Not $225 million good, but still pretty good for the most part, and it's fun. But then again, it goes back to the story, and it's boring, and it's so obvious. The main villain wants to get silver because he wants to use the silver to, I don't know, make America the better place and stuff. It's just so obvious and so boring, and the script is not very good. It really isn't. It's so just bland. It really is. And there is moments where it's funny, and Tonto and the Lone Ranger have good chemistry, but besides that, I did not care for this film. It didn't really make me happy. I mean, it made me happy at parts, but then it was like, okay, that was boring. I'm leaving. Bye. So I'm going to give this film, I'm going to give it a 23 out of 40. It definitely wasn't that great. It's not horrible like some people are saying, but it's definitely nothing amazing. At least we could say it's better than After Earth. So anyway, there you go. There's my review. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you, and goodbye.